Try to think of something different. Oh my God, keep me from getting all the hate. Boots, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in my channel. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. 28 Years Later is the third installment in the 28 Later trilogy that also kickstarts a brand new trilogy, the 28 Years Later trilogy. And it came out in the year 2025. Well, technically, it came out last week. And it is directed by Danny Boyle. This is the second film in the franchise that he's directing. He's technically directing three franchises in this entire trilogy overall. If they make the third one, which I'll talk about later, and it stars Alfie Williams, Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ray Fiennes, Edwin Riding, Christopher Fulford, Chi Lewis Barry, Jacob Connell, Aaron Kellyman, Emma Laird, etc. And so the film tells a story taking place 28 years later after the virus raged on when the town has evolved, especially the UK. Now they're finding ways to live while the pandemic is still ongoing. Now in this modern times, the solution that people has is to keep the infected separated from the survivors as they have kept the infected in this one area. And then they built a border in between the infected area and the survivor area. And so they only allow survivors to enter the infected area if they're warriors, and they're willing to go there for the purpose of hunting down the infected. And that's the case of father and son duo, Spike and Jamie. As Jamie is teaching Spike how to kill the infected in order to survive. But the real story actually starts later on in the film when when Isla is sick, and no one knows why she is sick. So so what's his name? Oh yeah, Spike. So Spike must take his mother on a journey to search for a doctor named Doctor Kelson who can figure out both what kind of sickness Isla has, and how it can be cured. And while on the journey, of course, they both face the infected, and the infected now has they have become faster and stronger than ever, especially a new variant called the alpha variant. So yeah, so that's the plot for 28 years later. So yeah, now I did see this movie last Friday, and yeah, I saw it in theaters last Friday, and yeah. So now the 28 layer trilogy is one of those trilogies that is quite recognizable, especially when it comes to the horror franchises. It's actually one of the most popular horror franchises yet ever. So as for my thoughts on the 28 Years Later is one of the most well-made zombie survival movies ever. Now, admittedly, it's not 100% perfect. I don't think it's the masterpiece that people say it is. There are be- a few issues I had. Well, I guess I will say that I think story-wise it is flawless. But my flaw with 28 Days Later is that it's quite an outdated movie with the way it looks. I get the artistic style with 28 Days Later. I get what they were trying to do, but it just does not hold up in this day and age. But yeah, 28 Days Later is one of the perfect examples of substance over style, where you got characters who you care about and a story that's very compelling, um, that overshadows an outdated visual style. And as for 28 Weeks Later, well, it's certainly better looking than 28 Days Later. It's certainly bigger as it goes for it takes a route of big zombie action invasion film, but that doesn't mean it's better than 28 Days Later, proving that bigger does not mean better. 28 Weeks Later is still a really good movie. It's just flawed and not quite as good as 28 Days Later, but yeah, it's still pretty awesome and a lot of fun. So yeah, 28 years later is highly anticipated. It was actually considered as one of the most anticipated movies of the year, and people even put this as their most anticipated horror movie of the year, simply because of just how popular this franchise is, and people have been waiting for a third film for quite some time. Yeah, but when the reviews came out, yeah, the reviews were much more divisive than I thought. In fact, I thought that this movie was going to be praised, but turns out not really. As yeah, this is arguably the most divisive movie of the year, alongside the Lilo Stitch remake. As there are two sides of people. There's one side who praised this as the best in the 28 later trilogy, and then there are some who call this underwhelming and the worst film in the trilogy. So yeah, the critic rating as of now is like 90%. Audience score is a whopping 65%, a near rotten rating, believe it or not. So yeah, now I'm about to share my thoughts, but before I do, I would just like to give a disclaimer that this will be a spoiler review. I will be spoiling this movie. So if you're watching this review and you're interested in and you are interested in the movie, well, go see it. I highly recommend it. Glad it's actually making some decent money in the box office. It even beat Elio at the box office. Well, I'll start by saying that this is certainly better than Elio to me. So yeah, now what do I think of 28 years later? This is the best in the trilogy yet. Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say yeah. I am with those people who say that this is the best in the trilogy. The 28 later trilogy is one of those trilogies where the second film does something different from the first, while the third film goes back to the roots of the first one. First one, like one example of this is the Cars trilogy, where the first trilogy is well, the second trilogy is completely different from the first film, and then the third one does just goes back to the roots of the first one. Um, yeah, I know I'm comparing two franchises that have nothing in common, but I'm just giving an example. When it comes to the 28 layer trilogy, the first film is slow burn horror that talks about like humanity survival. It's basically a survival movie disguised as a zombie film. 28 weeks later, it's a big zombie invasion film. 28 years later goes back to the roots of 28 weeks, 28 days later, where it's more grounded, there's less horror, and it's more focused on family drama. And I think it shows that this franchise is better this way. Well, unless if there can come a time when a future installment can pull off a 28 weeks later and end up being the best one. Now, for those who know me so well, I mean, those who know me so well may be aware of this, but for those who don't know me that well, I'm a sucker for these slow burn horror movies that has more time for breathing than scares, and this movie just did that. It's an emotional family drama disguised as a zombie movie. The horror elements of the film are absolutely thrilling. Zombies in media have barely been haven't been that scary. Like I know they're like meant to be scary, but I don't get scared of zombies, but zombies in media have never been scarier than this one. The jump scares, though minimal, were infected. The infected have become bigger, stronger, and faster, especially the alpha variant. I'm sure if you guys have seen all the trailers for this movie, you'll probably know that there is a scene where the soldiers like enter this tunnel, this dark tunnel, and then they encounter the alpha variant, like just jumping on them, like yeah, in jump scare fashion. That still scares me to this day. And arguably one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen from the film. It's scary in the trailer, and it is just as scary in the actual movie. Um, the screen people say that the screen time of the infected is lacking, but I don't think it feels as lacking as people make them out to be. But at its core, beyond all the horror elements to it, the family drama is a highlight of the film. The entire film is basically about Spike bonding with one of his two parents, and basically one of them later on, and then the other, one of them at first, and then the later on, uh, the other one later on. The first half of the film is mainly the bonding between Spike and his father Jamie, as the father and son duo hunt down the infected as a sport, pretty similar to the Hunger Games and some other movies about hunting for sports. It's a very nice bonding moment for them, and that was where the vast majority of the infected's appearances took place, which is why most people, from what I heard, prefer the first half over the second half, because the second half of the movie was where the pacing got slow. But in my personal opinion, I prefer the second half of the film where it focused on the mother and son bonding between Spike and Isla. Isla is easily the best character in the film, and Jodie Comer absolutely crushed it with one of her among her top three best performances yet. Although I would say that I would still think that Kathy from the Bike Riders is her best performance, and also there's also that iconic performance she did in Killing Eve. Yeah, those are her two best performances. I'm neck to neck on which is her best performance. Kathy from Bike Riders is my personal favorite, but Eve from Killing Eve is is her signature role. Well, I need to rewatch Killing Eve, and I think I should sooner after seeing this movie. Another outstanding performance in the film besides Jodie Comer is Alfie Williams. Yeah, it is honestly one of my absolute favorite male child performances. 2025 has given us two truly outstanding British child performances with both Alfie Williams in this film and also Owen Cooper from Adolescence. And yeah, I and by the way, I might review Adolescence in the future because I think that show's review worthy. But it already feels like a while since I last saw it, so I need to rewatch it soon. But yeah, I'd say that Owen Cooper from Adolescence gives the greatest male child performance ever. Yeah, and there are times when I would think that the actor who plays Spike looks like, where I would think that Spike looks like Jamie Miller from Adolescence, believe it or not. And I think he kind of is. Ray Fiennes is another scene stealer, as he's probably the most recognizable actor in the movie, coming off the heels of his Oscar-nominated performance in Conclave. But there are many other Ray Fiennes performances that makes him just truly famous. Like going all the way back to his antagonist role in Schindler's List. Aaron Taylor Johnson gave debatably, arguably his best performance yet. Even if I didn't really love his character that much, I didn't really love His character to me was just okay, but there was a scene where Jamie was kind of an asshole, and yeah, it kind of made me feel a bit of hatred for him. It was that party scene where he decided to have sex with another person despite having a freaking wife. Like seriously. The use of iPhone 15 to shoot the film was such a clever move, as it makes the visuals look absolutely updated while making shots feel realistic. One of the best cinematographies of the year for sure. There are moments in the film that I consider highlights, such as the boots montage, like boots, 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 moving up and down again, and then they show some what I think it's flashbacks of warriors fighting the infected. And then there was also this awesome girl power moment with Ayla saving Spike from an infected who was trying to kill him in his sleep when Ayla was like bashing the infected's head on the wall. You saw it in the trailers. That was badass. And then you also got the train scene with the Alpha, which was one of the most probably the most probably among the most intense scenes in the film, where Isla finds this baby who was not affected despite coming out of the stomach of an infected. So Isla adopts the baby, and then we see the Alpha variant and enter the train, the Alpha infected, and then chase them. Yeah, yeah, that was something. Oh, and by the way, that was a scene that showcased the skills of the iPhone 15 shootings the most. The movie isn't 100% perfect, as there are some minimal flaws that I cannot ignore. Now, okay, now I'm about to talk about the major spoiler of the film. So, yeah, just I already warned you earlier on in the review. So yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. The first movie that I want to talk about is the killing of Isla, the best character in this franchise yet. I find Isla's death to be both the best and worst parts of the film. Now, I am not going to spoil that scene. No, wait, so I am already spoiling it. My bad. Like, yeah, I'm probably just reading it off my Letterboxd list. Because, fun fact, guys, I usually do use my Letterboxd reviews as like my partially my script. Like 9% of it is my script. So yeah. But anyways, yeah. Yeah. Now I don't agree with the decision to kill off Ayla, as this is only the first movie in an established trilogy. Well, I just hope that the other two films can have more female characters, like, and a female character as badass as Ayla, and as good as her. I do think that it was not the right choice to me. If they killed her off in the next film, which is 28 years later, the Bone Temple, I would have been fine with that. But I feel like it was too early for Ayla to get killed. Plus, Ayla seemed to be doing fine, but then the moment that it was revealed that she has cancer, she immediately gets killed. Well, I get that this movie is trying to send a message that everybody has to die and you have to deal with it, and you have to be prepared for death. That's basically the message of the movie. Maybe they could have just waited for Ayla to like actually die before instead of having Dr. Kelson kill Ayla. Yeah, that's something. But however, what I like about the death of Ayla is that the scene itself is actually very well executed, and it's actually emotional. Like, I actually did tear up at the scene um uh, with Spike saying his emotional goodbyes to Ayla before Ayla just dies, and then we see Spike burying Ayla, putting her skull on top of like the bone temple, like with all the other skulls here. That was such an emotional moment there. So yeah, so I can't really bring myself to hate that scene, even if I'd say it is the best and worst scene in the film at the same time. But my one real issue with the film is Eric, the blonde haired guy who rescued Isla and Spike. He was such an annoying dickhead who disrupted 5 minutes of the film for him just to show up and be as unlikable as possible. And he basically just disrupted the film's runtime because, my goodness, he was not likable. And he was making unnecessary jokes. Yeah, like, not funny at all. Now there is that controversial ending that made a lot of people turn against this movie, and it pissed off a lot of people. Now, as for my thoughts on that ending, where basically it ends 28 days later after the events of this movie, similar to how the first two movies ended with the 28 days later prologue. Well, Spike is all alone, like being chased by the infected, and then he encounters hippies, this group of bandits saving his life, and then they fight out the zombies, and there's a very cheesy Power Rangers style kind of way. Now, yeah, that pissed off because yeah, a lot of people hate it because of how ridiculous it is, and it just took them out of the film. As for me personally, honestly, guys, I did not mind it at all. I did not mind that ending, despite I get the hate for that ending, and I think that these will be characters I'll be fine with. Yeah, and yeah, especially with really good actors in the cast, like Jack O'Connor, who played one of the best villains of the year so far. Remick from Sinner, so I'm fine with that. And then and one of the actresses of the Bandits is Erin Kellyman, who aka who's best known for Carly Morgenthau from The Falcon Winter Soldier, my most underrated MCU villain ever, and my favorite character in that show. So yeah. So overall, 28 years later is a near perfect film and the best that the trilogy has to offer. The movie being polarizing did not stop me from seeing this film and judging it with my own honest opinion. It's a movie that's basically an experimental blockbuster similar to the heels of Last Jedi, Joker Folie à Deux, and War for the Planet of the Apes, where it's quite experimental, but it can also lead to very polarizing results. I think it's kind of like a War for the Planet of the Apes, where the trailers advertise it as more action packed, but then the movie is more slow paced. Yeah, only difference is that War for Planet of the Apes is not didn't end up being as polarizing as this one is. So yeah, um, yeah, sure, it's not 100% perfect, but it's still the best of the trilogy. Now, my hopes for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, has definitely gone uphill after seeing this. Not only because of what this movie set up, that got me super more intrigued than ever to see what will happen in 28 Years Later in Bone Temple and how the story will continue. But also, it's going to be my 22nd birthday, so what a treat it's going to be. Yeah, both 28 Years Later, Bone Temple, and also my second viewing of Avatar: Fire and Ash are the birthday movies. The movies I plan to watch for my birthday, and maybe Anaconda also, because the Anaconda reboot. Because I heard that that movie is coming out on January in my area. So, but yeah, Avatar: Fire and Ash rewatch and Bone Temple will be my main birthday movies. So yeah. Although I am worried about what people will say about the Bone Temple because Naya DaCosta, the director of that film, is a director with a polarizing reputation, and it's a January movie. So yeah, like even the critical drinker, he is already calling 28 Years Later the Bone Temple woke just because Naya DaCosta is directing it. But then again, I was told that Alex Garland is the has written the script, so maybe I guess interference from Alex Garland and Danny Boyle will help the movie, and yeah, but I don't mind Nia DaCosta. I mean, sure, I still stand by. I'm not a fan of her Candyman movie. I don't like it that much, but I am a defender of the Marvels, so there's that. Even though the Marvels is my least favorite Phase 5 movie, it's still an underrated film. So yeah, now regardless of this movie's a polarizing reputation, I do hope that there will come a time in the future where people will look back at this film and appreciate it more. So as I said, guys, I'm gonna give 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, a 4.5 stars out of 5. So also from my review of 28 Years Later. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna say 20 Years Later. I think I accidentally said The Bone Temple, but yeah, it's 20 Years Later. So yeah, that's all for my review of it. What are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that this is the best in the trilogy, or do you think that this is the worst in the trilogy? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review on Megan 2.0, which I am seeing this Thursday. So yeah, bye guys.